Hello, my friends, and welcome back.
Yeah.
Is it fat-phobic to lose weight? Today, we're answering that age-old question, as well as taking a look at a bonus clip. How can it be fat-phobic for you to focus on your own weight loss and do something that has absolutely nothing to do with anyone else? It just is, dummy. Let's get right into it with the applying of comb to mustache. Alright, she's responding to this comment that says, I'd argue this. I hate my body and think it's too big, but in no way do I believe anybody else is too big or looks bad at all. It's just mental health. Alright, so they're arguing the point that when you lose weight, you're doing it for yourself and it has nothing to do with anyone else. A very valid point indeed.
I want to start by saying I'm in no way singling out this user specifically for this comment because I've seen so many thematically adjacent comments. Okay.
This is the most pretentious way of saying similar, I think, that I've ever heard. And what do you mean you're not going to single out this one comment? You put this one comment on the screen and you're responding to it. That's a very bizarre thing to say as you respond to somebody's comment. Is that not like the most bizarre thing ever to say when you're responding to somebody's comment? I'm not going to single out your comment and respond to it, so I'm going to respond to it. What? And why wouldn't you single out somebody's comment for a response? So many other people have made comments that are very similar to this that I'm not singling yours out for the response. But I'm the one who just said it to you, dog. Maybe you should single me out for the response. I'm the one who said the words to you. Maybe you could respond with your words right back to me. I don't know, just an idea. Thematically adjacent.
All over the internet. I very clearly see where this mindset is coming from. I too used to think like this.
I too used to think like this. Oh my goodness gracious, the pretentiousness on this person.
I genuinely appreciate this comment because I need to explain a few things. And this mindset is in fact a few steps up from climbing up the dismantling your beliefs about fat phobia staircase.
It's a few steps up from the dismantling your fat phobic belief staircase. Yeah, it is, man. It is a few steps up from the dismantling your fat phobia staircase. Which is right next to the dealing with my rage step stool.
So listen to this and keep climbing. Upon learning about mental health and how it pertains to body image, any thought that mimics being too big will always stem from a fat phobic place, and it didn't just start with you and doesn't just apply to you.
Oh, if I dislike the way my body looks, it comes from a fat phobic place. Even though I don't care about what anybody else is doing. Okay, weird. Okay, go on.
Let's break this down a little bit. Say you see your body in a mirror, or you're walking past a building and you catch your reflection in the window.
Break the mirror or break the reflection in the window.
One of the thoughts that swirls in your mind is, ugh, I'm too big. Experiencing thoughts like this frequently can no doubt affect your mental health negatively. It can and it will. But this is only because you're framing being big as a bad thing.
Oh, so I just need to frame being big as a good thing and convince myself that I like the reflection now all of a sudden, even though I've done nothing to improve it. Oh.
A few things to question. Where did this thought come from? How did it become a reoccurring concept that you ruminate about? The answer...
Yeah, why do you keep ruminating about this, dude? I love it when people are pseudo-intellectuals. Not that this person is or anything, I'm just saying that randomly. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with anything that we're watching right now. Ruminate.
Again, stems from fat-phobic rhetoric.
You didn't explain it at all. You just said when you see your reflection and you dislike it, that stems from fat-phobic rhetoric. And you keep saying it in multiple different ways, but you're not making it clear why it's fat-phobic rhetoric. You see, I would argue that your critiques of yourself have nothing to do with anybody else. You may see certain aspects of yourself in a negative light, but that doesn't mean that you see anybody else that has that characteristic as being negative. And I thought this was a concept we were all familiar with, right? If one of the things that you're insecure about is being short or whatever, you're like, dang, I wish I was taller. That doesn't mean that you dislike all short people or that you have anything against them at all. Our personal hang-ups have nothing to do with anyone else. And it's really immature and telling when somebody else gets angry at us for things that we dislike about ourselves. How much of an insecure wreck do you have to be to get angry at other people for being upset with themselves for their weight?
Someone at some point in your life, once or more likely repeatedly throughout your entire life, have criticized themselves for being so fat when maybe they just ate too much for their own personal preference, or or they can't fit into their old pair of jeans, or they just don't have a perfectly flat stomach.
Okay, those are all perfectly valid reasons to be like, oh man, I'm getting too fat. I'm not saying that anybody should go around obsessing over their weight, of course, not at all. But it's fine to see a problem and want to change it.
Be it a family member, a friend, or always leave it up to the media. The notion of fatness being something to avoid at all costs because it inherently decreases your worth in one or more ways.
You sure it's just the media that has given us a negative view of, quote, fatness? What about when your thighs start rubbing together, or your fupa starts to grow?
Started outside your own mind. This is because fat phobia is a systemic issue.
It's a systemic issue, even though I personally just don't like it when my thighs start rubbing together.
The idea that fat equals bad affects every system that we all operate within.
It's systemic because it affects every system. Alright, boom, gotcha. Every system. Not just the government, not just the schools. Every system. That's why it's systemic, apparently. Someone asked her, like, yo, which systems does it affect? She's like, all systems. Every system.
Maybe you have worked to get to a place where you're only judgmental about yourself being too big, but it did start as a much greater external idea.
Who cares? Who cares what anything started as? I can see myself as too big if I want.
This is not your fault specifically. Again, we have all been exposed to fat phobia since we were practically toddlers.
How do you know? What are you talking about? What if I was raised by obese people who were very fat positive? You literally have no idea.
With all this being said, I don't fully believe you can only be fat phobic towards just yourself. To prove this, if you saw someone who was triple your size, maybe you wouldn't make negative assumptions about them or say they look bad, but if you were to wake up tomorrow morning and be their size, would this affect your mental health negatively? Why?
Why? Because to wake up 3 times larger than I am now would mean that I was morbidly obese, I'd barely be able to breathe or walk or move. And not being able to breathe, walk, or move would not be the result of fat phobia. It would be the result of what I did to put myself there. And that's why I would dislike it, and I would start working immediately to change it.
You're still affected by fat phobia, externalized and internalized. To conclude, something to keep in mind when you're having a bad body image day, which none of us are exempt from. Thin, thick, fat, lean, whatever. Ask yourself, what is it about my body that makes me uncomfortable? If
the obesity.
If it has anything to do with looking, feeling, or being big, which in turn makes you feel ugly, less desirable, not healthy, less worthy, that internal dialogue is coming from a fat phobic place.
No, it's not. You can't tell me how I feel and what my motivators are. If I say I want to lose weight because I don't feel good and I don't like the way I look, you can't just be like, well, that's coming from a place of fat phobia. That's because you dislike others. Like, no, it's not. You have no idea why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Once you remove morality from body size, you will realize you can be healthy, beautiful, worthy, desirable at any size.
What if I was 6 foot tall and I weighed 80 pounds? Is that okay? Am I beautiful? Should I stop internalizing my fat phobia or whatever if I'm severely underweight? Should you praise me when I'm on day 3 of not eating?
Thank you for listening and happy reframing.
Happy reframing to you too. I guess in this context, the word reframing means like a lobotomy. The only thing that can make me accept my new body positive ideology is a couple blows to the head with a hammer, maybe a full frontal ice pick lobotomy, you know, something to really set me straight. Next. Alright, this person's about to respond to this comment that says, I love this. Can you explain fat liberation more? Yes, can you please explain it more? And I really love your shirt, by the way. It says QUEER.
I can definitely talk more about fat liberation, but
oh, thank God.
Let me just start by saying that I am not an expert in fat studies.
An expert in fat studies. Well, you know, I think you're downplaying how well-read you are on this particular topic.
I am a fat person who has engaged in reading, listening.
Reading and listening, right, but you are a fat liberationist. Don't downplay yourself. You also did all the fat studies and stuff.
To fat liberation materials, activists, scholars. So that is my relationship to fat liberation.
Dude, the way that everybody is wording things lately makes me want to bash my head into a wall until there's nothing but a bloody stump left.
So one of the ways that fat liberation most clearly distinguishes itself from like body positivity or body neutrality is that those movements have to do with your own sort of like self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. Fat liberation is about...
Fat liberation is about annoying everyone around you.
Addressing the systemic and material realities.
Addressing the systemic and material realities. Are you listening to any of the words that you're saying, or are you just saying words?
Of anti-fat bias against fat people. So like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, what does any of this actually mean? I submit that it means nothing. That this is all just a bunch of empty buzzwords that dumb people use to try to sound intelligent.
For example, there is like medical bias that happens where fat people can be denied adequate
biases, if we're being really pretentious.
But medical care or treatment because they are fat. Fat people often earn less money than their thinner counterparts.
So you're telling me that fat people are not as much of a go-getter as thin people? Statistically, they are less likely to get a promotion and stuff? I am shocked.
The same level in their careers, they can miss out on promotions because of their fatness.
I'd argue that they are less likely to pursue advancement if they are overweight, just like they were less likely to pursue weight loss.
Fat bodies are moralized in particular types of ways.
The bodies are, not the people, just their bodies?
Fat people often don't report cases of rape or sexual assault because they are not believed to be good victims.
What?
And obviously there's also like the accommodation aspect, so like airplanes, chairs, even the ability to access shopping for clothes in person.
Yes, there are many activities that you can no longer partake in if you've eaten yourself into morbid obesity. More reasons to not do so, or more reasons to see that there's a problem and take care of it.
So these are real, tangible things that affect a fat person's everyday life, that are material.
And self-inflicted.
And beyond the material realities of living as a fat person, we also have to deal with the like interpersonal level of fat phobia, where we are met with anti-fat comments, looks.
Anti-fat looks? You're met with anti-fat looks. And what exactly does that look like? Does it look like this? Or how about this? Or maybe it looks like this. Those were all the same look, you fool. It was a trick look. Or does it look like this? How about this? Is this the anti-fat look? Maybe it's actually like this. Girl, step away from the crack pipe.
Etc. From people in our everyday lives when we're just trying to exist. Fat liberation also cannot be removed from the disability rights movement, from anti-racist movements.
Actually, it can be removed from those other movements, and it should. It should absolutely be removed from the disability and the race thing and all these other unrelated movements, yes. It's real cute how you guys keep trying to attach yourself to all these other more legitimate movements. That's a pro move, I see ya.
Because, of course, racism and ableism are things that
have nothing to do with being overweight. I know. That's what I've been saying. I'm glad we're on the same page, finally.
Intimately affect how someone's body...
Their baddie? I don't know, man.
Is read and how that individual is treated.
What? No, what? No, that didn't explain how being fat has anything to do with being disabled or the color of your skin. You didn't adequately describe that at all, madam.
So like yesterday when I was talking about how fat liberation has actually made me more resilient against folks' anti-fat comments, that truly is just like a nice side effect. Because in order to pursue fat liberation politics, I have to believe in the inherent worth and dignity of fat people.
You do? Okay.
And it also gives me the ability to see through all of the systemic biases.
Does it? Does it give you the ability to see through the systemic biases? Are you sure? It gave me the ability to see through walls. So, you know, that's pretty lame that the only superpower that you got from this whole thing was the ability to see through systemic biases. Because, like I said, my ass is seeing through walls, son.
To see the ableism and be...
You have the third eye. You have the extra sense to be able to see the ableism. The sixth sense.
Be able to call it out. If you want to keep learning, two things I would suggest listening to: the Unsolicited podcast and the Maintenance Phase podcast.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. I was just about to say, the Maintenance Phase podcast. That one is hilarious, dude. God, it's so bad.
Really great books include Deshaun L. Harrison's Belly of the Beast, Sabrina Strings, Fearing the Black Body.
Oh, goodness.
Those are great places to start.
Oh, that's funny that she mentioned the Maintenance Phase podcast. I would do a reaction to that, except that it's just audio. There's no video to it, so it wouldn't make for a very good YouTube video. I'd have to edit in all of these stock images like nonstop that went along with the audio that we were speaking. All right, we've got one more clip by the same creator we just watched.
Over the weekend, I made some videos about how intentional weight loss is largely inherently fat-phobic. And
You made some videos about how intentional weight loss is inherently fat-phobic, which we all know it is. How dare you do something to your own body?
Response to a fat body positive creator defending intentional weight loss while still claiming to be body positive.
Who? Who did this? Who lost weight while pretending to be body positive? Dude, let's burn this person at the stake immediately. Who was it? Lizzo? Lizzo, did you lose a little bit of weight? Oh, no, you don't. How dare you?
And the thing that is wild to me is that most of the people in the comment section are fellow fats defending their desire to lose weight.
How dare they? There are fat people in the comments who want to lose weight and are defending their desire to lose weight? Are you kidding me? How dare they want to lose weight, first of all, and then how dare they defend their desire to lose weight? You guys will shut up and accept the fact that we're all angry at you for wanting to lose weight.
As opposed to spending energy believing in their own...
Right, so obese people want to lose weight, and they're defending their right to want to lose weight. And you're just flabbergasted by this. You're blown away. You're like, what? What are you guys doing? It hasn't dawned on you that these people have their own personal experience with being overweight and how uncomfortable it is, and they would like to remedy the situation. You just can't comprehend it.
Essential worth and dignity? Like, make it make sense to me. I just don't understand. Like, if you want to talk about comment sections...
What do you mean you don't understand? You know all those negative things that you experience because of your weight? Other people also are experiencing them, and they're not doing the mental gymnastics necessary to pretend like all these things are not related to their weight. So they see the problem, and they want to correct it. They're like, my knee pain, my thighs rubbing, my sleep apnea. These are all related to my weight, which I would like to change. They have not yet deconstructed the biases.
Proving the point of the video, like, that is case in point. It just proves how absolutely virulent fat phobia is in our culture, that folks would rather hate themselves than be liberated.
Other people would argue that it is liberating to lose the weight. Some would argue that losing weight is actually an act of self-love and it's self-hate to continue to be obese and do all these mental gymnastics that make you think that it's okay when it's not. It's harming you in every possible conceivable way, and you're over here like, this is fine. This is completely fine. The building is burning around me, and I'm like, this is fine. This is completely fine. Sometimes self-love is taking a hard look in the mirror and having the conversations with ourselves that we don't want to have. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.